things that's critical, and the reason, one of the issues I hear at the end of this course, actually I'll bring up two of the issues I hear. First thing I hear a lot of is, well, this is a very indirect method of communication. I understand that. Believe me, I'm the most direct person you'll ever meet, to the point some people do find me rude. However, understand, prospecting is a means to an end. If you can increase your effectiveness based on a modification in your communication style, depending on who you're dealing with, everyone wins. Don't worry about taking an indirect approach, because you are controlling the situation right from the get-go, because you're leading the prospect down the path you want that prospect to go emotionally, as opposed to providing your prospect with with what you believe is a persuasive argument as to why they should be listening to you. The second thing I hear is that some of the questions are redundant. You keep tossing the ball back in the prospect's court and trying to get him to justify his position for why he's going to put time aside to meet with you. The reason you want to do that, you want to make the appointment hard on the prospect. Usually, it's the salesperson who's going out of his way, putting time aside where he could be doing something different, going and visiting the prospect for a problem that the prospect has just disclosed is costing them $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month. You're not in the favor business, so make the prospect justify that they really need to do something. Every time you do that, you're getting the prospect more vested and more emotional about the ramifications of their problem. You're increasing the sense of urgency in the prospect and taking the burden off of you. So, once you've delivered your brief overview, you go in for the appointment. You say, look, Jim, I know you said you're not entirely happy with where you are right now, and that you would want to look into other options, considering you've been making do with things the way they are for so long. If you've taken them through several issues, and they've cooperated with providing information, more than likely they're going to say yes, but you don't have your golden ring yet. You need to take them back to where you once were. Go over the problem. Go over the ramifications of those problems with them. Tell them, you claim you're not getting the clients you deserve and you're not charging what you should, and that you're losing out on lucrative referrals that could substantially increase your revenue. Do you see this as a problem that's going to cost you money moving forward if it isn't addressed today? Or do you think it's just current economic conditions and things will eventually get better on their own? In other words, are you at the point you need to address it now, or is the problem still manageable for you? If you have them emotionally engaged with you, their problem shouldn't be manageable anymore in their mind. In addition, what you've done here is you've blocked out the I need to think about it objection. If they're using a competitor of yours and whom they've expressed dissatisfaction with, ask them about continuing to use that option moving forward. Again, if you've emotionally engaged them, you should be able to block out the competition here. Ask them, do you believe these issues need to be investigated? Now, we're going to deal with the last 30 seconds of getting the appointment. We have 3 basic rules. Number 1, don't set tentative appointments. I'm sorry, I have not moved this PowerPoint along. You will get it at the end. Okay, so number 1, don't set tentative appointments. Number 2, don't make yourself so available. Remember, the last thing you want to communicate to your prospective client is that you need them more than they need you. Finally, have your prospect disclose their expectations of the appointment. Remember, your first contact sets the tone for the rest of the sales process with them. You establish your negotiating edge with that prospect by making them prove the entire time you're communicating with them that they need you, that they have to make a decision. Think about what's going to happen when you go in to close them. Think about all the objections you removed in the prospecting phase that usually come up at closing. Okay, communicate that your time is valuable. Tell them, look, I don't set appointments simply for the sake of setting them. I will set time aside. If you can commit to a date and time and you feel there's something worth meeting over, when setting the appointment, always put them on hold to check your schedule. Even if it's your first day on the job, you need to communicate that your time is valuable. Put them on, tell them, I'm going to put you on hold, let me just check my schedule. Even if you know you are free for the next 10 years, still go through this step with them. Finally, once you set the appointment, make the prospect disclose their agenda. Tell them, look, both of us are busy. Let's make sure our time together is well spent. What do you want to achieve through meeting with me? This should be, at this point, your prospect should summarize the key reasons that will emotionally motivate him to make a buying decision with you. Make sure you make a note of it. When you get there, start your quantification process again, dealing with those particular issues that your prospect gave you. When you have the prospect summarize their agenda for the meeting, it gives you the foundation to build your meeting on. Okay, does anyone have any questions on the last 30 seconds? On the brief overview? Or on why we keep tossing the ball back in the prospect's court? Okay, now we're going to go into objections. All through your quantification phase, you should have been taking a proactive approach towards objections. If you take the responsibility for bringing the objection up, you neutralize it before your prospect can bring it up and disarm you with it and throw you off your game with it. So, anticipate objections. Know they're going to come up. Maybe lay down client. The rest of them, though, you need to find your money with. So no, objections are going to come up, and you know them all. I don't have time, it isn't a priority, we've spent our budget, well, send me more information first, I need to get other decision makers involved, and so on. You need to take a proactive approach with the objections and design responses to handle them emotionally. The easiest way to do this is to consistently push your prospect away from your solution. Every time you go for the no, your prospect, if they're viable, if they're emotionally vested in fixing their problem, it's always going to come back to you. The other reason you want to take your solution away, the other reason you want to always go for that no, is the last thing you want to do is create an overinflated pipeline. All that ends up happening when you have all these promising things in the pipeline that never end up closing is, number one, it whacks your self-esteem. Number two, your sales manager or the business owner, it ends up with a pretty diminished view of your sales capability. So always, make your clients justify. If you're going to stick someone in the pipeline and you're going to follow up 30 days later, make the prospect justify why you should do that. So we'll start with sending more information. This usually comes up right at the beginning, and it comes up because your prospect either sincerely doesn't have time to engage with you, or because you don't have that prospect emotionally engaged with you. If we just go back to tracking for a moment, and I told you that one of the key things you can do, one of the key things tracking is good for, is to figure out where you're losing the client. The other thing you do is you keep a notation of the objections that consistently come up and really take an aggressive, proactive approach to deal with those objections. Many times, the objections are common to the industry. Sometimes they're simply unique to you, and you need to work on that approach of your prospecting style. So, send me more information. A couple of responses.